It is another episode of the Sisterhood Podcast. Honey, we are bringing it raw, bold, and unfiltered. And as you can see, we're cozy on the couch in our PJs for our Pillow Talk series. Oh, you ready to get into this? Listen, this episode is going to be tighter than them shoes you wear on Easter Sunday,
Yes,
girl.
ma'am, it is. It is, yes, absolutely.
Oh, so what we diving in tonight, girl? What's the topic? Who? Bring it to them. Bring it to them.
So today we're diving into from vows to victory, navigating storms together. Because let's be honest, marriage isn't always sunshine. It's going to be some rain too. And so there are going to be real storms. But with God, storms don't destroy you. They develop you.
That's deep. That's deep. And I feel like as couples, you're going to go through those storms, but today we're going to talk and give a little bit of advice on how to survive those and weather them together with God first. As, that is the most important thing.
Yes, it is.
Because we want them to survive and we want them to celebrate victories.
Yes, ma'am.
So, we're going to just dive in and get in this and get to talking. I had to learn, and I didn't even know this when I first got married. And I had to learn, as I just researched for myself, that marriage is a covenant. It's not a contract. It's not something that can just be broken because you just don't want to do it anymore and you don't want to be in it. But it's something you have to work for. You can't just say, oh, I give up. Right. It's hard work. It's putting in the work. And again, putting God first to put in that work. So first, just understanding, that it is a covenant between two people, that we're not just going to give up on each other. Right. And with God, we're going to weather this storm, together. And of course, when we say vows, we know the ritual for better or for worse, for sickness and health, rich or poor. And so today we're going to talk about the worst, the part that people don't want to talk about. You think it's always the better. No, life is life, and life gonna life, and so you're going to have those worst moments. So we're going to dive into how to overcome them worst moments, girl.
Well, when I think about the vows, you really don't really know what your vows entail until you're actually in it. Because I think at the beginning, it's like a fairy tale. Like, oh, I just love this person. I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. But then reality hits where, okay, you two people in this household, y'all are iron. It's really iron sharpening iron, because you're really two different people trying to come together. And then don't let it be something happen like a financial storm. Start having children, who's gonna take care of this, who's going to take care of that. Responsibilities kick in.
Yes.
And then like household things. Like it just can be a multitude of different things that we can all go through. And then some storms might not be big. Right. Some people might not get big storms. They might get small storms. Right. But we all going to get through them together as long as you do have Christ.
Right. And so this podcast is kind of special to us because we dropped those mic drop moments, those little gems of wisdom. And so I think a mic drop moment right here is with you saying you talked about the different types of storms, like financial storms, when you start having kids and when you start adding to, and it goes from just being my spouse and I to my spouse and I and my kids to my spouse and I and my in-laws, that adds into other things. Lot, right. And so that mic drop moment is you may weather that storm and that storm may break you a little bit. But guess what? Even those cracks and breaks in that marriage, God is the glue.
He sure is.
So that mic drop moment is knowing that God is the glue.
He is the glue.
He is the glue that can repair and restore. And so again, you can weather those storms, whatever they may be.
It's just how you go about doing it.
Yes. And just putting in the work. Yeah. A lot of people don't put in the work.
No,
right.
They would rather walk away when it seems like, okay, I can't do this anymore, or it seems too hard.
Right.
I'd rather walk out the door, I mean, but I don't think I'm the only one or who thought about that.
Oh, no.
Because I'm not the only one, because I know it was times where I thought about that as well,
Deuces.
But is that godly? Is that really walking like God wants us to walk? Is that really showing agape love? Even if it is, because you're supposed to show it to your spouse, to agape love, is it actually really walking in God.
Right.
And you want to show and give your spouse the same love that God has given us.
Because does he walk out on us?
He don't never walk out on us. He don't ever betray us. He don't never give up on us.
Right.
He is forever loving, forever faithful, forever kind. And he's always tapping us on our shoulder, you know, letting you know, I got you.
Exactly.
And so we should do the same
for our spouse.
For our spouses.
That's deep. You done dropped all the gems in one root. Listen, I hope y'all got a pen. I hope y'all got a paper, because Sister Girl just laid it all out on the line. She just basically summed it up in 1 or 2 or 3 sentences. I mean, that's true. We should love our spouse just as God loves us. Like, that's it.
That's it.
That's the meat and potatoes of it. However, when you first got married, did you truly understand the worst part? No. And how has it shifted for you over time? I know using that fairy tale.
I mean, because when I first, let's be real. When I first met my spouse, like, we didn't really know each other that long. Maybe a year. Okay. But like, we were trying to do things godly way. We said we wasn't going to have sex. We wasn't going to live with each other. Okay. And so, of course, when you're doing your vows, you know, it's like, it is safe for better, for worse, but you don't really realize what all that entails, because you got 2 people who never been one, who never lived together. I didn't know his his things, what he didn't, you know, the things, how he do in the household, as far as he didn't know how I did in the household. Because think about it, I was single, and hey, I probably leave one dish in the sink. He might not like that. So we was really
so y'all were really almost like starting from scratch,
learning each other, and like literally learning each other, learn each other's ways, because we're in the same house, and it's totally different when you decide to do it that way, because you're really gonna come across some hiccups. Yes. Because I know you, I don't know you, you know, and then after you get to know somebody, because like the fairy tale over after a few weeks or a couple months, but then certain things start coming out. You know, what I'm saying?
They're not saying they're true person like they were lying, but just you get to see that other side of them
that you never saw.
That side that they're not always happy.
They're not. They're not always happy. They always, they're gonna have their days. Yes. Like you're gonna have your days. You don't know all of that until you're actually in the same household, under the same roof. Right. And then when you up there at the altar, you're saying, for better or for worse, or sickness and health. When you think about worse, I don't even think you're thinking about worse when you're saying those vows. You're just happy in the moment.
I'm a bride. I'm beautiful. This is my husband.
This is my day.
Our wedding, our this, our that, our honeymoon. And then you're in the honeymoon phase. And then it sits in, and that first little worse creeps in. And you're like, I ain't signed up for this.
Because what if, say you're trying for a child, and then you have a miscarriage? You know, what if a miscarriage comes out, happens? What if financial hardship happens? Yes. You know, you don't think about all those kind of things, because you just literally not thinking about that. You're thinking about, this moment of forever after, you know. You're not thinking about the other things that could happen, like trauma with your child. You know, you're not thinking about financial. You're not thinking about in-law issues.
And that's a big one, going from being individually doing your own thing with your family, for your family. For me, it was my husband having 7 sisters. And so when you have brothers that do for their sisters, but now you have a wife. So now you can't jump at the drop of a hat to go do things. You have to learn that balance. You don't think about those things when you're dating, because you have that time still to go be that person. So then once you become one, it's like, I can't be at your every beck and call to certain people, because now I have a partner, and that partner deserves my time and deserves my attention. So you have to go and start setting up a whole different set of boundaries. And that within itself can bring in the worst.
It can, because Lord, that part is deep. Because when I think about, you think about in-laws, you love your in-laws, you love all that kind of stuff, but you always want to feel like you're number one. And so I think it can be difficult, like in a situation like that, where you got 7 sisters, it's just him. He probably don't even know how to navigate that, and it takes a while for that maturing to actually happen. And so am I actually going to stay here
Right.
until the maturing actually
Right.
happens?
Right.
Because I want to feel like I'm number one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your spouse.
Right.
I want to feel like I'm number one because I done made these vows with
Right.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
so who's going to be number one?
Exactly. And it's like you have to learn to say no.
Yep.
You have to learn to say no to certain things. And that brings me to my husband and I. In the beginning of our marriage, we didn't know how to navigate through that. So it caused some strife. And I was like, well, fine. You act like you married to them, so go be with them. You know, and so as we've as we've grown, girl, listen, you need to put a pin in, take a breather. Oh, it brought back some woosah memories. I know somebody out there on that social media land can relate, where you want to say, okay, peace. You married to me, but you giving them all your attention, so deuces, bye, go be with them.
Like, peace.
But early on in my marriage, we weren't mature enough to communicate our needs and to talk about those things. And so it did cause some strife and some conflict. But I look now, as we grew spiritually, and as we begin to go to God more for our help and for advice, we know now how to communicate. But in the beginning, it wasn't. So I put a pin in it right there to say, if you're in a marriage or if you're in even a relationship, communication is key. You have to learn how to communicate your needs, because if you just sit and let those things just fester and you just kind of overlook it or ignore it, then it becomes a ticking time bomb and you just go off for something that you probably even shouldn't go off in, but it was because you didn't communicate in the get-go. So I say the key to any, especially a healthy marriage, is communication and learning how to communicate your needs. And also for us women, because we like to be heard sometimes more than we like to be talked to, I'm going to put a pin in right there and say you have to listen to receive what your spouse is saying as well. Not listen to respond. You hear? How many times have we done that?
All the time.
Listen to respond, but you got to listen to receive and hear what they're saying and then respond, because communication goes both ways. It's a two-way. And for a while, I was just listening, but I really wasn't listening. I was just listening so I could prove my next point.
So I can go ahead and tell you how I feel. Forget what you said. I wasn't even listening to what you said, but I want you to know how hurt I am.
Yes.
And how I feel. And I need my point to get across. It ain't even about whatever you said.
Okay.
Whatever you said, and this is how I feel.
Right. Like my feelings were valid, but his weren't.
But is that right?
And I had to learn that wasn't right. And so now our communication is completely different. And even there are some times when I may even go home and say, honey, is there anything on your mind? Anything you want to share? Anything that's pressing? Are you okay? And sometimes he just kind of look at me like, what you want, or what's about to happen, what's coming.
Wrong?
Yes, because he's really not used to that. But now that he is, we actually have in-depth conversations and communication. And that has been the key to us being balanced. Because sometimes I'll say, I need to tell you something. This did not make me happy when you did this, this, and this. And sometimes I'll say, you don't even have to apologize, because I don't want you to just apologize just because you feel like, oh, that hurt you. I want you to hear me, what I'm saying, think on it, and then we'll come back to it. And he's learned to do the same thing. Don't just immediately say, I'm sorry, because are you really? Or do you feel like that's a natural response?
Well, should I just say that because this is what you want to hear?
Right.
But it's not really a authentic, I'm sorry. It's I just want to say I'm sorry because I want to have peace in the household.
Because I've done that before.
That's what men want. Men want peace. We all want peace. Yes. But a man really wants peace. So he might be quick to be like, well, I'm sorry, and he might not. He might mean it, but he might necessarily really mean it, because he's wanting peace in the household. He want to get back to whatever he doing. He watching the game or something, or I'm trying to get some extra sleep. Right. But I feel like it, and like you said, it's very important of communication.
Yes.
With me and my spouse, like I do ask him, like, you okay?
Right.
What do you need? You need anything?
Yes.
And he'll just be like, I'm just tired. And so I do make it my point, because he does work these long hours. I make it my point to make sure that when he get home, he don't have to come home to know nothing that's
right.
dirty. You know, the house is clean, it's spotless,
exactly.
it's food on the stove. You know, the kids basically have taken care of as far as and already had their bath, homework, more so
safe
done.
space, baby.
Safe
You better
place.
do it.
But and you have to, because you have to look at what has this person dealt with all day.
Yes.
And I haven't seen him. Now, you're my saving grace. When you come home, I'm just ready to see you because I ain't seen you. But you're coming home from a day you've been up since 4 o'clock.
Right.
You don't get home until after 5. When you get home, you're exhausted. So what about the communication? How are you feeling? You good? Like, what you want to eat? You know, what you got a taste for? I think it's just simple as communication. I think we make communication harder than what it is, because I think we'd be scared of what that person is going to say.
Right. And I think men for sure are afraid of what we're going to say.
They are.
So I think sometimes, and they don't, sometimes I think with my husband and probably other spouses, they're afraid too to communicate their needs, because that may be a sign of weakness, because culture and society has made it to where a man is not supposed to say maybe he's had a bad day, or he's not feeling good, or
if he
I'm
cry,
sad.
If he want to cry, you know,
and they've been taught to be, you don't cry, you a man, suck it up. And so we have emotions in my house, and we're going to use them. And I like that. And we don't even say, we have a rule that we don't say I'm sorry and just that's it. We have a rule that we don't, when we have something that we disagree on, our answer is I'm sorry because, or I'm sorry for, so that we know it's meaningful and there's some thought put into it. And we do that with both of us. And I'll say, I'm sorry for not listening to you, or I'm sorry for not hearing you. I'm sorry for taking advantage of, I was busy all week and I didn't take the time to just spend some time with you. And we're learning to say, not just say I'm sorry and leave it at that. Because when you say I'm sorry for and you name things, that gives you opportunity. That means you've really thought about what you've done.
And it reassures your partner that they really was listening to me. That it's not that, oh, it's just a quick I'm sorry. You really understand why I'm feeling how I'm feeling. And you really going to take heed. And next time you're going to be like, okay, this is what I can do different in this situation. And so I think it is about communication. For sure, keeping God at the center, but it is communication. It is just talking things out and seeing where your spouse is, you know, mentally, phically, spiritually, praying with each other.
That was the next,
because I feel like if you don't pull together and pray with each other, the enemy, all he needs is a footstool. I mean, a little foothold. That's all he needs is a foothold to try to come in.
That's true.
And tear what you've built. And it's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it.
No.
So I personally, we're going to seek God.
Right.
And we're going to work on communication. Then also find out what your spouse's love languages are.
Yes. That's big. And before we hit love languages, just piggybacking on what you said about prayer, for a long time, my husband and I, we prayed individually, you know, and I had my prayer time. He had his prayer time and this and another. But then we started to learn to pray together as well. So we pray individually as well as collectively. And then we'll send different little things to each other throughout the day. And that has really enhanced our ability to be able to communicate. And I think once we started learning to pray together, we stopped fighting each other, and we allow God to fight for us.
And that's so important because we want to fight our spouse, but the Bible does say, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. So that being said, if we don't go to war in prayer spiritually, like it's not a I want to do it, it's a need to do it, because I need my marriage to be successful. I need you to be in the forefront of my marriage. I need it to be covered by the blood. I need it to cover my family, cover my finances, cover every single thing that I'm coming, my businesses,
cover our health,
our minds, having peace of mind. We need prayer. Whether like whatever we facing, that is what we need to look at and fall on our knees and pray.
It's the core and the root of a strong marriage. The more we've prayed together, when the storms do come, we weather them standing up strong, because we know who our help is coming from, and we know who whose we are and who we belong to. And that has made the difference. Little things that would probably have us mad at each other, I'm just being honest, for days at a time, they're insignificant because we go to God together. And so he just brings us a sense of peace that no man.
And I think it's spiritual maturity too.
Yes.
Because you're doing those things. And so like certain stuff that might have when y'all first got married, however, 20 plus years ago or 10 plus years ago, that little stuff not gonna come in and prick it. And it ain't got no hole to get in. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? God done put up a wall where so certain things not going to affect it.
They don't.
Like it was when y'all first got married. But now, because we have that relationship, and we're praying and we're covering it, can't nothing come in. But now if something does happen, like you said, you're able to weather it together. I mean, it's just like you come, like when I think about, we've been through different storms, like in-laws, financial, after having children, postpartum type thing, boundaries. And then when we went through it with my daughter, I feel like that allowed us to draw close even more, because we're together in this thing. We're gonna go to war on our child's behalf together.
That's the difference.
It's a difference.
Wow.
It's a big difference, because I know, and even now when I look back, me and my spouse are like, man, God, we saw God in the midst of it. We saw him move on our behalf. And it wasn't where, I'm fighting you, you fighting me. We going to war and battling for our child's life together. It's a difference, baby. It's a difference.
Yes, I really, because I've journeyed that with you a little bit of when, and I honestly can say, if you didn't have God in your marriage,
I lose it.
I think it would have definitely.
Not just the marriage,
everything,
but my mind, because weathering that kind of storm where it looks like
you may lose
your baby. It's no words for it about how it might make you feel. But if I didn't have my core, which is God, and I didn't have praying women, praying people around me that's covering me, like I could have called Karla and been like, this is how I'm feeling today. And she would, no, well, we're not going, we're finna go pray. I'm praying for you. I'm covering you. And you need not just spouses like that. You need groups of married couples like that around you who are praying for you, who are uplifting you, who are leading and guiding you, who they pouring into you when I might feel like giving up even during this storm. They're going to say, no, let's try this. They're not going to say, well, yeah, go ahead and leave him. They're not going to say that. They're going, no, let me pray with you. Let me fast with you. Because
that's the women in the couples you need.
Because fasting is going to break off some things. And so, let's do a fast together. Okay, we're going to not going to do no sodas, or we're not going to have no sweets, or we're not going to have no social media. But it's the point of, you got this sister in Christ or this brother in Christ that's holding you accountable. And they're also covering you and letting you know you can make it. You need godly couples around you.
You have to pray for that circle. We had to revamp our after our life of who we would hang with and spend time with, because it makes a difference. Because you have to surround yourself with people who are putting God in their marriage as well. Because you have some that are out there and they might not be the best influence for your spouse or for you, and may encourage you to do things that are not of God, and so you really have to, my husband and I prayed for God to send us godly couples that we could go to, some that haven't even been married a long time and some that have years under their belt, so we can get that wisdom. And you have to be transparent. My husband and I went through a storm in our marriage that most people probably would have thought that we wouldn't have been able to survive. But during that time, I had to take the me out of it. And I had to learn that it wasn't just about me. It was about me and him. And I had to submit And a lot of people miss that part of it. And it's in the Bible. Husbands, submit to your wives, and vice versa. And you have to, and that doesn't mean that you're weak.
Nope.
But you have to submit to him just like and that matters, and it makes a difference. And when my husband comes home, I want him to know, baby, you the king of the throne.
That's right.
As he should. We have, like you said earlier, and I'm reiterating it, safe space. When your husband comes home, he comes home to a clean house, to a cooked meal. He comes home to the kids are taken care of. And also I want to say that works for you. And that's awesome. And that's the same thing that I do. But there are some out there that their partnership may not be that way. And it may be that the husband may have to do some of the work that's considered the work that the wife would do. And that's something I want to hit on too.
Yeah.
Is hitting on roles in a marriage. What works for you may not work for somebody else. And we got to get out of trying to cookie cut our marriage to look like what society wants it to look like.
Just gender roles.
Yes.
Because
you the cook and clean. We don't. I cook. My husband cleans. We're okay with that.
Right.
There are things that he does and that I do, and vice versa. So you have to do what works for you. And then you hit on love languages. You have to learn what works for you. Some husbands are out there, and they're those ones that are, they're the candy and the flowers type of person. And that's great. But everybody's husband is not like that. And I spent a few years in the beginning being like, you need to be like such and such. And now such and such and his wife aren't even together anymore, because the reason why he was doing it was for the wrong reasons.
Right.
But I had to learn what my husband likes, and he learned what I like, and we compromise.
That's so important.
There are movies that I'm like, oh my God, this is a chick flick. I know he's not going to want to see it with me, but he'll go and see it. He'll make that compromise because that makes me happy.
And then vice versa.
Right, with Fast and the Furious. I don't want to go look at them cars.
Or look, Bruce Lee movie.
Right.
A little cowboy movie.
Right, but your husband likes it, so what do? Suck it up, get all cute, and we go.
We watch it,
so it's about compromise. So we've talked about communication, we've talked about creating safe spaces, and now we're talking about compromising. All those things matter. You have to learn what works in your household and do what works for you. You can't piggyback on what you see other people doing, because again, what looks good on social media also may not be what's going on inside that household.
They saying that the grass might be greener over there, but you don't know what they sprayed it with.
Right. It could be fake, artificial, and it could be you say it again.
It could be turf. So you don't know what these. You looking over there at Tom and Melissa's house, but you need to be worried about your own house.
So I'm a fertilize. I got my Miracle Grow, and my Miracle Grow is love. My Miracle Grow is knowing that what my husband likes and doing those things for him. Is taking the time to surprise him and say, you know what, like. Prime example, I've been busy this weekend and I've been doing things. I had something to do yesterday. I'm doing, my podcast today and just lots of things. So tomorrow is my husband's day, even though we're off and we're supposed to be, whatever he wants to do, we're going to do. So you have to learn about knowing that they get lonely. And even though the hustle and bustle of being busy women, we have to take the time to pour back into them, just like we need to be poured into ourselves. And one thing too, never stop dating.
Never. Look, that's good, because I know that my spouse, he wanted my children to go and spend the night at my mother-in-law's house. So I just told him one day, I was like, what you got planned on Friday? He was like, nothing. What you got up? I said, well, I done made a reservation to take you out to eat. He was like, for real? I was like, yes. He said, what about the kids? I said, they're going to go to your mom's house. I said, we'll drop them off on Friday and we'll pick them up on Saturday.
Yes.
I literally saw his face turn red and he didn't say nothing else. So that let me know that I was being obedient.
Right.
And I was catering to a want that he had. Not just me, because it's not all about me. I feel like us women who are busy women, who juggle the household and just busy women, just got something going on all the time. It takes so much effort. It don't even have to be effort. It's just a little effort to pour into your spouse. And when I did that, I promise you, I've seen a total different person, because he just smiled. I mean, you can see he just smiling.
He's so giddy.
Just giddy, happy, because I let go of self. Of what I wanted to do and what I thought my feelings Instead, I put what he wanted first. And I think that's what it's about. It's about dying to ourselves.
Yes.
And it's a daily thing.
It is.
Because ain't nobody perfect. I think that we walk around sometimes like, oh, just perfect. Like, I just got it all together. Nobody has it all together. We all work in progress.
All struggling.
And this is what I just thought about this a while ago. I had a friend who was getting ready to get married. Now, marriage is a beautiful thing. We're talking about navigating through storms because we want you to be able to navigate them and be able to keep God in them so you can have long, flourishing marriages. But you also have to be honest. You know, marriage is work. So this is what we're doing. We're working as far as dying to ourselves daily, putting our spouse first. But I remember when she asked me, she said, you know, what do you think about marriage? She's getting ready to get married. I said, marriage is work.
It is.
And I'm not going to sit up here and play with you. You're going to have to work. It's going to be a lot of dying to yourself because it's not about you. And you're going to have to stay and keep God in it.
Right.
Because if you don't have him in it, along with other things that you need to do, whether it's getting counsel or whatever, I feel like it can fail.
You will break.
You will break. And you don't, I want to honor God with my marriage, with my life, you know? So it's about dying to ourselves and knowing that we can conquer anything in these storms. We can get through the storm.
You can. Weathering the storm with him makes it possible.
It makes it possible.
You know, it could be a hurricane, tornado, you know, any storm. When you think about just the magnitude of a hurricane and you think of how strong it is, those are storms that can occur in your marriage, whether it's infidelity, not saying that we've experienced it, but those are the types of storms that you occur, or, you know, you stepping out, your spouse stepping out, or just becoming complacent and being comfortable and forgetting what it took to get that person and figure, oh, we married, we good, we don't have to date anymore. No,
dress up, ladies.
Don't stop. I had a lady that had been married 40 years and I asked her what was her advice to me, and she said, stop going to bed in your husband's big t-shirts or muumuus. She said, you go to bed as if you want to let your husband know that you are a queen. She said, keep it. She married 40 years. And then she told me, she laughed and she said, and baby, take your yoga classes. And I just got so tickled. But she was honest. But she said, stop letting yourself go.
That's right.
She said, don't keep putting that hair in a ponytail and wearing t-shirt. And she said, get cute, get pretty for your man.
That's right.
Always. She said, I don't care if you're going to the grocery store, if y'all going somewhere together. She said, put yourself together so he can remember and see. She said, don't let go. And he should do the same. She said he shouldn't let go of himself either. And she said, tell me to communicate. And that always dating. She said, and it doesn't always have to be going out too. She said, you can have a stay-at-home dinner where you lock yourself, order takeout, get in your room, turn on a movie, put them kids to sleep, and just enjoy each other. She said, or a quick drive. She said, there are so many things you can do that, you know, getting that quality time in. But she said, don't ever stop getting that quality time in. And I took what she said to heart. And I've practiced that. And now I have date nights. And there'll be times where people are like, oh, Karla, you coming and do such and such. Now, old me, I'm going to be honest. When I was big and doing all my different talks and different things, I would be like, girl, yeah, I'm coming. And I tell and my husband's so just, he goes with the flow. He's chill. And I'd be like, baby, such and such want me to come over. And he'd be like, it's okay. But then God reminded me and showed me it's not okay. And you're being selfish. And it's not just about you anymore. It's you and him. And so I had to go. And it was different for me because I was a girl that saying I'm sorry was hard, even as a child and growing up. I was always right. And I just didn't really like saying I'm sorry. Let's just be honest.
That's that pride though.
Yes. And I had to let go of that. And I had to tell my husband, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for putting you on the back burner and putting these things before you. And so now I tell people I'm booked and busy, but I'm booked and busy with balance because my husband will no longer ever be on the back burner. I will say no before I put him back there. Even though he seemed like he was comfortable there, but he really wasn't. He was lonely, but he was just going because he was like, you know, it is what it is.
And he wants his wife to be happy.
Yes. But now he'll tell me, he said, what you got playing this week? I said, whatever you got playing.
That's right.
And he just smiled so big. You know, like next weekend, I really don't have a lot going on. And so I'm like, whatever you want to do, we're doing it. Whether we get in the car and we may just drive to Tyler or drive somewhere and go eat just out of and come back. I'm learning that spontaneity and putting him first and making him know I appreciate you Yes, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, but X, Y, and Z wouldn't exist if it wasn't you and me.
Exactly. Because, honey, soon, like I had the a Kendra Scott event.
Yes.
And soon as I got home, I just wrapped my arms around.
Yes.
I said, I love you. You know, I appreciate you.
Yes.
You know, I thank you for what you're doing. You know, I thank you for, you know, being my peace. I thank you for allowing me to go and do and not complain. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But as soon as I get home, you pick out whatever you want to watch,
right,
or whatever you want to do. But we ain't doing nothing. We can just sit on the couch.
Right.
I mean, and I think that can just be our just time. You just because they just want time.
Exactly.
And I think it's about like we talked about dying to self. And we want our spouses to feel special.
Right.
Because we want to feel special.
Exactly. And a lot of women sometimes out there, I've learned, and this is what I've learned, and I'm going to drop this gem for you too, ladies. We always think that we're the emotional creatures and that we like all the lovey-dovey. But truth be told, they like it more than we do. So just put a little pin in, know that oh, I love you, baby, and treating them, putting them on the pedestal that they should be on. And I will blow my husband's ego up in public in front of people. I'm like, he my man, you know, as we should. And we think that we are the only ones that want that. But they're emotional creatures too. So stroke that man ego. Let it be known. If you got a good one, let it be known. And then you know, not just in private, but in public.
For sure. And look, y'all listen to this too. Text your spouse throughout the day. Let him know, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Yes.
I love you. You know, I appreciate you for being the hardworking man that you are. I see what your sacrifices are. And I'm telling you, when they get home, they going to fall right into your arms.
Exactly. But it matters.
All that stuff matters. And so we have to be intentional.
Because I text my husband and be like, oh, can't wait to see you. 3:30, can't get here fast enough, or 4:30, whatever time they get off. But those little things matter. And you keep that spark. Don't let that fire that attracted the both of you in the beginning, don't let that die out. You have to find fun and innovative ways to keep that spark alive. That just those little bitty things, they matter. Right. Because we're happy, you know, and let's not, you know, act like it's just perfect, because our marriages aren't. We've weathered some storms, you know,
a lot,
but we've weathered them together. And I think what has made us weather them better and be able to overcome them, survive them, is because we keep going back to this. We kept God first. Yes, we put God in our marriage. When my husband and I are going through things, I'm like, Lord, you know what? Fix me if I'm the problem.
That's it.
I like if I'm the problem, fix me. Yeah. So you have to look at if you're the wrong in the thing, and then go from there. So always address what you could be doing wrong, or if you're at fault, and then go from there. And then if your spouse is at fault, don't immediately go to them and say, you know, you wrong. I say, Lord, show him and touch him and reveal to him the error of his ways. Because nobody wants to keep hearing you and nagging and you doing this and you doing that. Sometimes I want you to just see it for yourself. And so I'll be like, Lord, show him.
And see, that's another point. A lot of times I think as women, we want to go and talk to them and tell them how we feel. Now, ain't nothing wrong with telling your spouse how you feel.
Right.
But like in the word, it talks about a nagging wife. So that might be considered nagging to him. You consistently coming to him and you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that. But a lot of times we have to go to God on his behalf, because guess what? He might not actually see it, and it might take him a while, as in maturing. Because sometimes it does it takes us time to mature, just like it takes men time to mature.
Yes.
And so he might not actually be mature in that area yet. So you have to go to God on his behalf and pray for him to do the change.
Right.
Only God can do the changing of the heart. We want to change that person's heart because we want them to be changed. We want them to see our point. Right. But a lot of times it's not even that. You need to go to God on his behalf and pray for God to do the changing, because he's the only one who can really do the change.
And the fact, and you say that God can only do the change, and then I think piggybacking on that, I also think of grace.
Yes, ma'am.
He gives us grace.
Yes, ma'am.
So why can't we give our spouses the same grace that God gives us? We're not perfect. We mess up. We fall short. So I feel like we need to give him meaning our husbands, the same grace that God gives us.
Yes.
And so you can't always, and I've learned too, nagging doesn't really get you anywhere. So I just learned to communicate the things that aren't making me happy maybe at the moment. And I'll say, we have like times during the week, Wednesday talk, I'll be like, okay, what's been going on? What's been on your mind? He'll be like, what's on your mind? Is it anything that I'm doing that is not pleasing to you? Is it vice versa? And we'll just have those conversations. We used to couldn't talk like that because I was like, I didn't want to hear that I was doing it wrong because I'm perfect.
And then you get mad and then you go shutting down.
Right. Like, and then it's a whole nother thing. And so we've learned to just have those conversations and have an open discussion about what's making us happy, what's making us unhappy, things we can work on, things that we need to maybe change. We even have conversations about parenting our kids, even though they're older. We even have started now having family meetings and we started that some years when the girls were like starting to get into high school, and we would sit down as a family and talk, and there were no phones allowed, and we would eat and actually discuss what are things we can do, what are things that we're not doing as parents that y'all would see us do, and we would tell them this is what we expect of you. And so again, we're teaching that communication, because I think that's the problem with society today. We don't communicate. Everybody want to get on their phones and send text messages, but there's no just open dialogue. Let's sit down and look at each other and talk. We went to a restaurant the other day, and my husband and I were just looking around, and everybody in there was on their phones. Like nobody was actually sitting talking to each other. They would talk every now and then, but for the most part, everybody's heads were down. So we have a thing that when we go out, everybody's phones go up. And we're going to actually conversate. So I think it goes back to weathering those storms, putting God first, and communication. With that, it's a no-win. I mean, it's a win-win. Basically, it's a win-win. Now, again, we're not saying that everything's going to be perfect and you're going to pray, you're going to give it to God, and he's just going to bless you with this perfect marriage. No. The scripture says the weapons may form, but they won't prosper. And that's whether it's individually or collectively towards your marriage. You're going to face some things. You're going to face some storms. But again, having him and going to him and seeking him is what's going to see you through.
Ooh, baby.
We did that.
Be honest with you, we
did it. We said what was on our hearts. We said what was needed to be said, and we spoke truth.
Yes, ma'am.
We were raw, and we were certainly unfiltered, and we were bold. We were transparent, and that's what matters. And
I just hope that, as we're doing this, you don't look at us like, oh, we're just these perfect, individuals with these perfect marriages. No, it came with work. It came with getting on our face, laying out, praying, crying, fasting, and dying to ourselves, and
fussing, fighting,
all of the above. And so it's not just about, don't look at us like that. We're simply here to share our stories, and to be able to encourage, be able to help you, because somebody out there might be navigating a storm in their marriage, and they might not even know how I'm going to make it, or how we're going to make it. But like she said, it's about keeping God first, because with God on your side, because it does say seek ye first the kingdom, and so once you seek him and you invite him in your marriage, you got to invite him, you got to pray, you got to cover it.
Yes.
You can weather any storm, like we was talking about. So no, we're not no perfect individuals, but we want you to know that with God in your marriage, you're going to be able to weather any storm.
Right. And piggybacking on that again, and my closing comments would be to communication.
Yes, ma'am.
Communication is key, and listen. Again, don't listen to respond. Listen to, that's a struggle, and I've gotten so much better at that, but I listen now to receive. So my encouragement is, yes, keeping God first, giving your marriage to him and saying, Lord, have your way, and really seeking him to guide you and show you the things that you need to work on within yourself, and doing that inner work so that you can be a better spouse, and then asking for the same thing for him to work on himself so that y'all can be good individually and collectively. So again, seeking God, communication, listening to receive what they're saying, and having that open dialogue, and spending that time together, and never stop dating.
Never
you
stop
know.
dating. Keep loving each other.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
so important to also have that those couples around, those married couples
Yes.
around to pour into you too.
Yes.
Y'all got it. I mean, we got
Yes, and even to help y'all, anybody out there, if you're listening or you come back and watch this, drop those comments of, you know, what you did to
That's
weather
right.
your storm, or be, you know, open and honest. And if you want prayer for your marriage, you know, hit us up. You
Yes,
know,
ma'am, we
drop
got you.
drop your name, drop your husband's name, your spouse's name. Let's get this going. If we need to start a couples, you know, outing where we can get some couples together and we can discuss and do. We want this podcast to reach you and to help you and to motivate you. And also too, if you have a podcast suggestion or idea that you want us, me and my girl, to sit and talk about and share, let us know. If you want to join us.
That's what I was gonna say. You want to come?
Yeah, come on. You know, hit us up. You know, we can make that happen. This is for you. This is a sisterhood. This is our safe space. And we hope that is your safe space too. And so, you know, until next time, it's me, it's Sharde. We the Sisterhood Podcast. We love y'all. We thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we out.
We out.
Peace.